everyone. Good afternoon. I think it should be good afternoon to everybody. Oh, California is still morning time. So good afternoon, good morning. My name is Eleni Sommerschield. I am the Chief Operating Officer here at Wise Agent. And today I am joined by the fabulous Marki Lemons-Ryhal, or Marki. So she's like Madonna. We were just talking, and that's why we're like a minute late. Because we were chit-chatting and saying how she could just go by Marki because it's just like Madonna. You're just one name. That's it.
One name.
One name. And so welcome everyone to our webinar. We're going to be talking today on how to repurpose your content to reclaim your time. With the holidays just around the corner, everyone's running out of time. It's like a mad dash to get things done. And so this we're going to be talking about some really great ways of saving some time. And so Marki, I appreciate you being on today. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem. I'm actually at home on a 12-week medical leave. And so it's all about the self-care journey. And it's also been a great learning experience as well. Being at home, telling people no, it's kind of like all new, but we have some great ways to repurpose content. And I've been hanging out on Canva, which has become one of my favorite go-to places. And it's also going to be leveraged in 2022 for repurposing content in even more ways.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear all about everything that you're going to be doing. So a few things for everyone that's joining in. So one, if you want to say, I see Nick. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hey. If you want to just jump in the chat and tell us where you're coming from, what your brokerage, city, state. I always love seeing where everyone's from. So I am here in Fountain Hills, Arizona. Marki is in Chicago, my hometown. So and so I love seeing where everyone is from. It's always fun and exciting to see that. So you can post any questions that you have in the chat. There's also a Q&A section that we have down there on the bottom of your screen. You can ask any questions. Our fabulous Sarah is on as a moderator, so she'll be helping us out at answering any questions. So we've got people from Georgia, Lofton, Maine. Oh, Lofton, Maine. I know Tammy from Lofton, Maine, I think. So some more people from Exit in Southern Utah. Awesome. More from Chicago. I love it. All of our Chicago families, peeps are coming out. So this Zoom is being recorded. We're also streaming live on Facebook. If you have any questions on Facebook, you can go ahead and post those there as well. We'll be answering those as well for you. So let's just jump in and start. We've got a next almost hour here, Marki, to talk about repurposing content and why should people be doing this? Why should agents be doing this? And then we'll get into the how of it as well. But if you want to kick it off
well, there was a recent study by Mari Smith. Mari Smith is a Facebook insider and influencer. And she was doing a study because a lot of people spend a lot of money in ad spend. I personally spend little to no money in ad spend. And she was stating in her study that we're only receiving a 5.2% organic reach in any one piece of content that we post. So what I want you to think about is the short attention span of humans, right? Shorter than a goldfish. And the fact that the algorithm dictates the content that are going to be seen by others. So if I'm only getting a 5.2% organic reach on any one piece of content that I post, to me, that's failure. So my number one thought process was, how do I increase the visibility of the content in which I've created? To me, in order to get an A, that means we need to come up with a minimum of 20 different ways to repost any one piece of content that we create so that we can have success with that one piece of content. Mm-hmm. And to me, we have definitely, it's always create. Well, why you keep on creating something people aren't using? That would be the first thing.
Right.
I want people to start thinking going into 2022, how many different ways can I repurpose that one piece of content? And without fail, I believe that one piece of content, how you originate that content, should be in the form of a video. To me, that's non-negotiable. So video content creation, repurposing it a minimum of 20 different ways.
Wow. Yeah. And that's a great way of doing it, because I mean, really, you're going to be saving so much. You create a video, like let's say even for example, a webinar, some kind of Zoom meeting, and you're talking about information, right, that people want to learn and know about. And you can take what we're doing here. I mean, Marki is a realtor, I'm not, but what you're doing here, and you could just like translate it into real estate, and you're giving out information, valuable information on real estate and whatever your market is doing, and then take some of these snippets and then just repurpose that for, for different things. So in an email, in a text, you could do it in any kind of flyers if you're doing that, phone calls, when you're maybe even doing, like when you're calling somebody on the phone and doing, I know a lot of people are still doing phone calls. You have like a little bit of that, whatever you just said, because then you're just trying to perfect your script. So it can help you in perfecting your script, and then repurposing it on all sorts of all the social media channels out there too. I know you're big on social media as well.
I am, but imagine this, for the past 2 years, 104 times I have leveraged Zoom to record a webinar just like we're recording right now.
Mm-hmm.
Half of those times I stream it live to a private Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
I download that video, audio, and text transcription because I have the enterprise version of Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
It automatically becomes a podcast. It automatically becomes an email. It automatically becomes a blog post, and we create photo quotes. So imagine that for the past 2 years, over 104 times, I've done that consistently, which is why I am, I think, the queen of content. But here's the business value. So some people know that I have a second generation realtor. I raised a second generation realtor, Skylar. I have referred 3 listings to Skylar in the past 30 days. One from someone I graduated from high school with in 1988. Another person I attended high school with who graduated in 1987, the year before me. Another person who I pledged in 1992. These aren't people who I'm sending Christmas cards to. They're not even on my mailing list. So guess what? First thing, shame on me, because 2 of them we got signed listing agreements, and the other one we are going on Sunday, right? But they reached out to me on Facebook, all of them, direct message, because they know what it is that I do, because I'm consistently repurposing this video content.
Yeah.
That's the true business ad.
It is. And then it goes to even say like, well, so you are kind of busy to send them, to have them on your Christmas card list. So imagine you doing these 104 Zoom meetings. And then in addition to that, creating all the social media posts like from scratch with new content over and over and over again. I mean, you wouldn't have time to like go to the bathroom. I mean, you wouldn't have time for anything if that's what all you were doing is just creating new content over and over again. It just would not be possible. So that's what we're talking about, is leveraging what you already do, the existing videos that you have out there, that existing knowledge that you have, and taking that, and it doesn't even have to be, because like this webinar is an hour long. So now you take this webinar, any webinar you do, even if it's a 30-minute one, and you take a 20-30 minute little sample of it and play that in, put that in a text, or put that in a, edit it down in an email or something, or post it on YouTube, or reshare it in, a private channel or any other channels on social media. And there you go. You've got like a huge exposure with minimal work done. Right.
I want to come back, because oftentimes we just create content to create content, or we're doing everything based on our perception. I don't do a lot of things based on my perception because my perception is limited, right? Coming from the south side of the city of Chicago, living in a city that lacks diversity in housing and economics, I would only get this South Side African-American female, 51, married. Like, it would be a very narrow view of the world. So before you think about what you're going to do, I use tools like google.com/trends. I want to see what's very popular right now. I also want to go over to answerthepublic.com to also see what's trending. So one thing that is going to separate me is that, one, I don't just do it to do it, right? Because some people are like, let me get this video done. Oh no, the video needs to be intentional.
Yeah.
I need to talk to people the way that they're searching so that I can be their thought leader. And so there's a step that comes before the actual video creation that I'm getting ready to repurpose. And let me tell you what I've been practicing with over the past 6 weeks. Yes, we're recording this video, but now I'm being even more intentional. I'm going to research what I'm talking about first. Okay. But I'm going to now originate that video using a platform called restream.io. So I can stream the video first to 7 locations that I'm hanging out on, and then repurpose the video. Now get this, and then come back to Restream again and replay what was initially the live broadcast.
Wow.
Because here's the thing. Think about your late night shows. You remember back in the day, was it Carlton Sheets? I think it was. We up in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you go to the bathroom, you left the TV on, and here it comes playing again. Well, Facebook and YouTube is now our infomercials. So I can put that same video back and replay it and restream it to these 7 locations. And here's what's amazing to me. Every time I replay, restream anything, there are people who comment on it as if they had never seen it before. Like, oh, this is great information. And they start asking questions, and I know they never seen it before. So the algorithm of every social platform is going to dictate who sees what unless you are paying to play. And if you even go back and look at your emails, right?
Yeah.
You could repurpose your emails. Let's say I'm getting let's say I get 20 to 25% click-through rate. I technically could repurpose each email up to 4 times to hit that whole email audience.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you take your email list, you send it out one time. If only a quarter of them are responding to you or clicking on it, reading your emails, you want to send it out another 3-4 times so you can get the rest of those people reading those emails.
And here, the great thing with email technology today is I can resend it and exclude everybody who had already clicked on it.
Right. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so it'll still, if you do it a couple of more times, you might rotate the pictures in it. You might change out the header. Right. Yeah. The content essentially will still be the same. But the goal would be, how can I go from 20% to maybe 40%? Because I strategically resend this email to, let's say, a list of 10,000 people more and more times.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great way of looking at it, and even a great way of sending out emails. So like within Wise Agent, you could go back and see who's read my emails, who hasn't. You can exclude those people from your list and then send it out to the remaining list and keep doing that until you get a really high open rate, is what you want. You want people opening that up, and you could even repurpose it to send it even to those. Let's say it is, you send out 100 emails and those 25 that open it, you could repurpose it to those 25 that open it, especially if they're opening it multiple times, because you obviously know they like what they're reading, right? So then you can send them kind of the follow-up messaging to it and continue to do that. And that gets you your fan base, your audience, the people that are loving and trusting on you and doing business with you.
Every
Right.
time you go to a new platform, instead of worrying about new content for that platform, I want you to think about how will you go back and repurpose some of your old content. So right now, we as realtors, we can earn up to $35,000 per month through Facebook or Meta with creating Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels. So the content that is still relevant that I created 2-3 years ago, those blog posts, I can now come up, try to find a song that has the same couple of the same keywords, right?
Mhm.
Do a little dance. I got the words to copy and paste, and I have all the content to paste. And so it wouldn't be about me coming up with new reels. It's about how am I going to repurpose this old content and get paid by Meta in order to create these reels. Because, and the better thing is I can go back and look at the analytics and see what was my top 25 out of my top, over 100 broadcasts, and repurpose that content to see if it really can stick in this format.
Wow. Yeah. And so, and when you say that you're getting paid for that the reels, because I'm not too, well, you already know this, I'm not too much into social media. I'm just more of a private person, but on the social media platform. So when you're saying that you're getting paid from them, it's just because you're doing a dance and you're, either pointing at something or doing whatever, and they're just paying you because you've got those views and that audience.
So I wouldn't use the word just. I would say if you have content that there's engagement on the content. So is it possible that you could just do a dance, and because the dance was funny, people clicked on it, and as a result of them viewing the content, Meta will send you a check? Yes, that is very possible. One of the things that I did, even though I repurposed my content a lot, earlier this year, I deleted 4 different platforms. And the reason I deleted those 4 different platforms, one, because my tribe is not hanging out there, right? But I was repurposing content on those locations as well. When I went back and looked at my analytics, it was like, Marki, this is not where your sphere of influence is spending the most amount of time. I want to create great content, repurpose that content on the platforms that my sphere is spending the most time on. So I deleted Twitter, I deleted Snapchat, I deleted TikTok, and I deleted Clubhouse because those aren't my preferred locations for my sphere of influence. So you want to start with the numbers, you want to talk to people the way that they're searching. And now once you come up with that piece of content, it's how many different ways can I repurpose it? Now, when I decided to delete this at the time, Facebook had told us that we could monetize the platform, but it was not up to $35,000. It was like, get $100 to do this, $250 to do that. So my goal now is to focus on the platforms that you can also monetize in order to create another stream of income outside of your day-to-day real estate sales. That would be Facebook-owned assets and YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. So I love what you said about, you deleted those platforms because that's not where your audience was, your tribe was, which that speaks hand in hand with, knowing your audience. You have a clear vision and a clear definition of who it is that you talk to. And I think that's one thing as realtors, sometimes that mark is missed because they're just wanting to cast this large, huge, ginormous net. Like, I'll talk to anybody. And it's like, but sometimes it's better to just cast a smaller net. You'll catch more fish that way because they understand you. They're coming to you because they are being fed the things that they want to eat, right? The things that they want to hear. You're feeding them that. And so, and I know you had an interesting story about that too, is that there's people out there that might not resonate with what you're saying because your target is a female in her, right? And so if maybe they're not in that, they're not that demographic, then it kind of falls short. But you're like, it's okay. There's somebody else out there for that person. And so I love that you have that.
Last week, 85% of my engagement was the 85% of my engagement was females. My number one age category is 45 to 54. So it's one thing to have somebody in your audience. It's another thing for them to engage with you. So if I'm looking at my numbers and I'm like 85% engagement, in 2022, I'm going to have to really ask myself, do I want to create woman specific real estate content? Because if I go deeper and become intentional and speak to women directly, I could actually increase those numbers and increase my earnings. So this was the year I said, oh, I wouldn't alienate men or just focus on women. But those engagement numbers, it's kind of like, I don't know if I really, no offense, man, I love men. I never thought I would hang out with this many women, right? But I'm talking their sweet language. And there's some things that I talk about from a personal standpoint, not from a repurpose standpoint, that would not resonate with men, but it resonates with the 51-year-old married woman who likely went to college and have kids, because that is the realtor. That is 67% of realtors. And if it's 1.5 million of them, I don't need all of them to be successful. Actually, everything I need to do, I could do with 1% of them and just make all the money my little heart desires, right? But that's also carrying over into the Chicagoland area on the south side of Chicago for real estate sales. Now, I'm going to have more men in that audience than I'm having females in that audience, but I have men who stop me all the time because they know my voice and my face, because their significant other or their wife listens to me.
Right. So they're seeing you, they're hearing your voice through them. And I think that's a big thing too, is just being somebody that is that's really in tune and really understands who their engagement is. So looking at all of those analytics, I think that's a big thing, of looking at your analytics and understanding what those say. And then so there's that part, right? Doing it, like looking at them and then understanding it, and then actually then creating a plan that you'll thrive in based on those numbers. So that's a really big takeaway for everyone that's watching too, is like going through your analytics and seeing what is it that your Facebook, who's in your audience, your Facebook audience, if you're running digital ads. And I think digital ads, are great through Google and Facebook and the other platforms. I think they are greatly, they do well when you know what you're doing. And if you're just learning, it's hard to do. And that's why I think some of the repurposing of the content, some of the video content you posting, video posts and reels, and doing all sorts of things in just as a post, is sometimes that precursor to before you get to running ads, because then you get to understand what your analytics are. And then, because when you get to the ad portion of it, that can be really intense when you're looking at the analytics on that side of things, on the Facebook ads. I know, I've looked at it. It's really intense, and it can be really granular and hard to really understand.
It is. It's 100% it is, which is why I haven't been consistent in running Facebook ads, but I am consistent in creating content. Also, when realtors are buying leads, there's going to be a disconnect from the platform that they submitted their information to. And once you start communicating with them, I'm going to say that through everything that I do, I have a higher conversion rate, because they're consistently seeing my face, hearing my voice, seeing my company colors. But I'm going to give you an example for repurpose your content. So Skylar, my son, he's a second generation realtor. He wanted to do a home buying master class. He reached out to a gentleman here from Guaranteed Rate. They put everything together. He set everything up, the webinar, everything. So Skylar reached out to a few people, and it hit me the day that we were recording this webinar that everyone had been in the business at least 20 years. The lender, me as the moderator, the attorney, the home inspector, and then someone from IDEM. Okay. So I'm like, you have over, right, 100 years of experience on this webinar.
Yeah.
All you have to do, dear son, dear new agent, is show up and ask 5 good questions, because none of these senior professionals are going to allow themselves to look bad in public. They're going to shore you up. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the reason for doing that webinar publicly, that we marketed all over the internet, was just to have the video in order to come back and do what they call an evergreen webinar, where if people want to sign up moving forward for the master class, they come back over to that same landing page, they register, they receive an email with the link, but instantly the next screen opens up and the video is playing. It's a great way to generate yet new leads. So that's another way to repurpose it, but it's considered an evergreen webinar. And yes, you download that video and you put it over on YouTube, or you take nice little video snippets from it, and you take those video snippets and you create, for me, I have 2 playlists on YouTube. I'm putting all of my original non-edited long videos, and then we're going to go and look for videos or 3-minute or smaller segments. And we have a second playlist with like the video clips and or highlights from the longer videos.
Okay.
So, and I would recommend this as well. Over on Instagram, we're consistently posting 1080 by 1080 to the feed. I want you to change your dimensions to 1380 by 1080, because it will display fully. You put that thumbnail inside of a 1080 by 1080, but it should be inside of a 1380 by 1080, and put a call to action with a footer and a header or lower 1/3, but you're just going to upload that regular small highlight over to a Canva, and everything can be branded to you, because one of the updates this year for Canva, their video editing tool is freaking awesome. Awesome. So you want to repurpose that now. And you can also do that for your reels, for your Instagram video, and for your Instagram feed. May you repeat that part, please? Yes, Tamika. So when you look at Instagram, the feed, it's all nice little squares. They're all 1080 by 1080. But when you're scrolling through the feed with other content, it will display 1380 by 1080. So when you're creating content, in order to publish to the Instagram feed, I would recommend using the new size of 1380 by 1080, so that when it's in the feed and people are scrolling, you'll take up the full screen and not just the square block where you're sharing other landscape with the post before and or after yours. And in that additional landscape, what you would do is add your logo, a call to action. Eric Thomas has a good one that I actually went and saved, because he has a black and white video playing in the background that just kind of shows his head, but it's the same video. He has a color video on top of a black and white video. He expanded the back, but it just gave a nice element to it. He has his logo. He has a little call to action with a lower 1/3. You can do all of this inside of Canva for free. But coming back to Skylar, what I also did the other day inside of Canva, Canva uses, it has an embed technology. So it allows you to embed content from 1,900 different websites. So I created in Canva a new website for free, and I embedded a Facebook Live video replay side by side with a landing page. So they could watch the video and submit their information all in one screen. It's not costing me anything to repurpose this content, but every time I repurpose, we're going to add new leads to our customer relationship management system.
Yeah.
And these leads aren't costing. Now, let me say this: money is time. So the more you do this, the more efficient you will become at doing it. But I'm not buying leads, and we're earning the highest return on our time spent. My cost of goods sold year to date is 3%. I'm operating at a 65.9% profitability, because I'm creating video content and repurposing it, I'm never going to be the person who spends all their money, ever. I'm an entrepreneur. I need to have net income, and shame on the person who's spending all their money in branding and marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I wanted to share, because I know you use Canva a lot, and I think that's it's a great technology. It's a great technology. I use it as well. But I wanted to share, because what you had said about having a video playing and then side by side a landing page where you can have that contact form. What I wanted to share with everyone, I'm going to share my screen here, is that if you can do that same thing even within Wise Agent. So where you can come in here and you can have create, and I don't think we have it as a template, but I know, well, I know Sarah's watching. She creates these templates, so she knows she's going to get a little assignment from me later on today, where you can create a landing page within Wise Agent that would have, and I'm thinking this one might be kind of a similar idea, where you have kind of half the page where it has the form, and I'll just do a preview. Maybe not so much, but you can actually just kind of move this over where the form is on one side. I mean, don't mind that this says that it's an open house, because it's just a landing page and you can use it for any purpose. You can post it anywhere, where you could have the form on one side and then a YouTube video on the other side, right? And you can come in here and take, all you do is just take one of your videos, copy this link, and then paste it into one of the templates, and then be able to have that all created in here. So let me see this one here. Let me edit this one. And then you have something where you have, I don't think I can get this to do side by side right now, but I know you can just really easily come in here and say, okay, this video, I'm going to have all of this here. So here's the form, and then here's the video. And now when this gets shared out, and when I completely, edit this, let me move some of my stuff around, right? So when I edit this, I can post this now to Facebook, or get the short link and send it out as a text message, or whatever I want to do. I could send this, send this out as a text message. I could send this out as whatever I want and post this on Facebook even. Is this active? It is active. Here we go. Here's the share link. So I can share this on Facebook. This is going to open up my Facebook. I could share that on Facebook. I can get this short link, and it'll just take me to this landing page where I would have a video and everything else in it.
Can you go back to the open house? Because I want to make a recommendation.
Yeah.
Go back to that page. Okay. First of all, safety is of huge concern in the world of real estate. Under no circumstances should anyone be able to just walk into someone's house and not properly register. So one thing that I'm loving is the fact that you have these landing pages, because we've been creating these using Google Forms. So what I would recommend is that you take the link to the landing page, you go and you create a QR code. On the front door of the house, you give some instructions. In order, the seller has mandated a contactless open house registration system. Please scan. They would scan this. I'm almost sure the agent receives notification. Yeah. They'll have some kind of welcome page. You'll know that they gave you the correct information, because they can now open another page, right? Do not allow people to come into a home that it is your responsibility to protect and you're not sure who they are. The least I want is the fact that I got your right email address if I don't have anything else. So these open house registration pages you should use for every single open house, but take that short URL before you leave the office. And let me say this, we are not printing out paper. We're not doing brochures. That's how we get to that 3% cost of goods sold. We're going to deliver all of that back to their mobile device, but we need to have them in our customer relationship management system. Paper is not acceptable, especially when you know half the people's handwriting will not be legible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so this is where you would create that rule and say, okay, for this particular open house, I want to get a text message every single time someone fills out this form. So you're standing by the door, someone walks in and you didn't get a notification. Well, they didn't submit the form. So you tell them, sorry, try again, and as far as the QR code, I've always been a fan of QR codes because I think that they're just so easy to use. And even before, because QR codes were a thing back in the day, and then they kind of fizzled out and no one was really using QR codes. And then COVID happened, and then every restaurant had a QR code at the table. There was no menus. Everything went back to QR codes because it's just so easy to just take a picture. And because that every restaurant now has QR codes, people know how to use QR codes. So don't make that as an excuse to not do what Marki is saying to do, because it will help you in the long run.
We had an event I'm going to take you back sometime and I'm going to answer Nick's question. We had an event back in 2018 because the pandemic, we lost 2 years. And Nicole Wheatley, she's one of our top producers. She was going on a marriage retreat and she asked me to do the event for her. Well, then after I agreed to do it, she was like, oh, we got 78 people registered and we got this 32-page handout. Can you come to the office and print it? Absolutely not. Okay. All I'm thinking about, first of all, this is not my event. There's no way you're going to have me in the office all day tomorrow, cussing at the print machine for 32 pages, two-sided color for these 78 people who are registered. I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to make sure everybody gets everything. Now, her and our sponsor was like, they're not going to know how to use the technology. Oh, they're going to know how to use this technology. Long story short, we had 78 people on our list. By the end of our event, we had 135 people registered in a nice little Excel spreadsheet. I provided them with no paper. I was not mad because I used an automated system to automatically deliver to them that handout. Open up your mobile device so we can walk on through this house, right? So we never say what someone else will do. Speak for yourself. And what I'm clear about, I've had a lot of seniored real estate professionals. You pull that mobile device out, I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. Because what I'm not going to do is make me convert backwards.
Right.
And to me, that's converting backwards. So I'm going to actually share my screen because Nick asked a question in regards to changing the size over on Instagram. Yeah. And so on Instagram, when you make a post, at the bottom left-hand side, you're going to see brackets. So you can change the size a little bit, but I want to show you what I'm talking about. You're not changing the size in Instagram. You're changing the size of what you're loading because Instagram will accommodate it. So we're going to go over here to E.T. Thomas. And I thought that this post was kind of funny. The thumbnail that he used on this post, let's see, had mashed potatoes on it. So let's see, it might be a Reels. Was it inside of his Reels? Hold on, let me go to his videos.
And while you're looking for that, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about, having people go backwards in technology and just doing things. I think one of the things is, it's okay to do something new and try something new, because it will most of the time make it a lot easier for you. You'll do something outside of your comfort zone, but you'll make it probably easier on your own life. And then once it's easier on your life, that one time you can continually do it, kind of like, just being consistent with it, and you'll just be saving time and time and time, which time equals money. I mean,
all the time.
Yeah.
So check this out. So this is the thumbnail. Our mashed potatoes trash, right? It looks like a nice little square. Okay. So when we click on this, we see that now it's actually vertical, right? Well, he did 3 things here. We got the square thumbnail. We got the vertical video, so it will fit great inside of Reels or some other vertical format. But when you're looking at this in the feed, you're going to get cut off right above the logo at the top and right up under where it says the S2 podcast, because that's going to be 1380 by 1080. So you're changing the format, the sizing before you load it. And right now, when you're doing reels and you're doing stories, it'll actually ask you if you want to have a photo grid, how you want it to show on the feed, and you can resize that as well. So when you're posting content over on Instagram, I want you to think of 3 different sizes: vertical, 1380 on top of vertical, 1080 on top of the 1380, and it's 3 layers to that, and it would show up nice in every feed.
Yeah. And I think I did a reel with you and J-Man, but this was something that he and I had talked about, I think in, I don't think it was last week's live that he and I did, but one before that, and maybe Sarah can bring that, like, post about that one. But he had talked about how there was a way of doing it, and because if you do your video, if you hold your phone this way, it'll create, if you hold it vertically, it creates your video one way as opposed to horizontal. And if you hold it horizontal, then you have to put in some filler in there. And I think, is that what you're talking about?
So if you hold it horizontal, I'm going to come back and put it inside of a vertical video frame.
Yeah.
You can either use Canva or you can use InShot, which then means I'm going to have space at the top and at the bottom, but I did not distort the pixels of the original video content. Now, Tamika just asked another question. Tamika, if it was a regular post, you would also change it, because it's still, how will it display in the feed when we are scrolling through the mobile device? And so while I'm talking here, because I can show my mobile device, I'm going to see if I can find a 1380 so that you could see the difference in how it would display on the phone versus how a 1080. So the hack is to do it all in 1380 so that when people are scrolling, you'll take up more landscape on the mobile device. Okay. Yeah. And also, I don't know if you know this, today you can actually load content directly to Instagram from your browser.
Oh, okay. That was that was something that just changed today. I didn't know about that.
Well, it didn't change today. It recently changed, but let me come back over here and show it to you. So I know you see this plus sign.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just go to my profile. So there's a plus sign now that allows you to post content directly to Instagram from your desktop.
Oh, wow. So yeah, because then you can drag and drop your videos in here. That's awesome. Or images. Yep. Yeah. And I know when we were in San Diego together, you had told me about going from Facebook to Instagram posts, where I do have that ability now. I didn't when we were in San Diego, but I have it now.
So another update, I guess, is what in the last 6 weeks, last 6 to 8 weeks, when you're making a post over on Facebook, you now should have the ability to post from your Facebook personal account directly to your Instagram account.
Yeah.
And I have to toggle mine on and off because it'll mess up my grid sometimes. And I don't necessarily want all of the Facebook content to also be over on Instagram, but consider that repurposing your content as well.
Yeah. And so is that something that you do? Do you, so do you create, and not create, but do you repurpose content just for one specific channel, saying this is just going to go here? And so if they want to see that over here, well, they're not going to see that, at least not this week or this day.
Yes, on LinkedIn, I'm very intentional. There's very little personal information about me on LinkedIn. It's 100% business. If I want to be personal, but maybe vulgar, I'm only going to Instagram. Okay. When I come over to Facebook, I'm personal, but there's stories I will tell you on Instagram that I might not tell you on Facebook.
Okay.
One, because of the tolerance of the audience. And so I've had a different type of candid conversation on Instagram than I've had on Facebook. So are there certain places that I've posted things? Most definitely.
Yeah.
Based on the audience.
Yeah. And so one of the things for me on Instagram that I always find you know, it's just a little bit, there definitely is a little trick, because on Instagram, you can't just post a URL in your post. You can't have that. You have to have it in your bio. And so I know one of the popular tools is Linktree. Is that something that you use as well?
Yeah, I use Linktree. However, now you do have the capabilities to post a link on your stories, even though you cannot post a hyperlink in any of your feed posts. So when you're posting in your feed post, you're telling people, hey, click on the link in my bio. I do use Linktree, and I have a click-through rate of 70%. Over using that platform, Linktree. But Instagram is that place that you're repurposing that content. And now Reels is the place that I'm repurposing the old IGTVs, or the old, get this, your old TikToks, or your old Snapchat. Even though I don't have those as a platform anymore, I still have some good old video content from over there. And Throwback Thursdays is still a real thing. You could come back and repurpose it in that manner. Think about this. You on the platforms, Facebook and also on Instagram, every single day, they're going to pull a memory and share it with you. So they're telling you, hey, you can go back in time every single day and post something old. And the longer you've been over here, the most memories we're going to have on this day.
Yeah, that is true. So there's another question from Nick. So he says that he has MP4 recordings of his podcast and wants to have some words highlighted in some sort of video. What products can he do that from?
If he wants to have some words highlighted, he could use Threads, Threads. He can also, there is a audio caption capability with your organic audio inside of Instagram stories.
Oh, so I think we did that with Kira and San Diego. I think we were doing that as well. So it'll just hear your voice and then transcribe it.
Yep. Oh, but the platform, I think, is, would it be, it's not Highlighter. What was that platform? Oh, that I thought everybody should have. Let me think a minute. Is it Highlight? I want to say is Highlighter.
It's the Headliner.
Go to Headliner. That's it. Headliner would be the place. Yes. Go to Headliner.
Okay. Headliner. Okay. And so what are your thoughts and feelings on, like, how much is too much sharing, and, you know, how often, you know, how often should they repurpose that content? So if they shared it Monday, or they did it live on Monday, did a video, and then, so what is it? Do they wait a couple of days? Do they, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you want to go back and look at the goal of the content. If it's for an open house next week, you know, you only going to do one showing for this open house. You know, you got this house price to sell. As soon as you put it on the market, you already got offer sight unseen. I might do that every single day for the next so many days until the time of the open house, right? To get as many people there, have a videographer with a drone and all these people hanging outside of the house, you know, talking about, I move the masses. That might be the idea. So you want to go back and you want to look at what is the goal of the content. What are the time frame of the content, right? We did a video last year, how to eliminate up to $40,000 in student loan debt and buy your first house. They ran out of money. So guess what? We stopped posting it. But when that money re-ups in January, we can come back right now and repost it. What I would do different this year is I would repost it every single day for 5 days at a different time. And say for a limited time only, because we already know it's going to run out again, right? So you want to go back and look at that content, look at the shelf life of the content, and then decide, are you trying to move people fast and in a short period of time? Then you could do it every single day. If this is some evergreen content, then I would say you could look at 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, and you can bring that video content right back up. Some of my very popular Facebook Live videos, they date back to 2016. Anytime I reshare one of those a year later, I'm gonna tell you, it's still, the engagement is still outstanding. And a couple of people will say, oh, I remember when you posted that, so some people have seen the content,
Yeah.
and if they have, they'll let you know. But that percentage is so small. Or
Yeah.
they'll say, girl, when you post this before, I thought it was fire. Thanks for the reminder.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a set schedule. I want you to think about the goal of the content, and that would dictate how often and in what period of time you would repost and reshare that content.
Okay. That's always good advice, because I think that's like the number one question is, how often am I doing this? So just think it through. I think it's just like any, when you're doing a drip campaign and you're like, how often should I send the email or the text? What should the interval be? And it's kind of like, what can you handle? What is the messaging like? How many days do you want to give them to see this and to kind of be reminded of it? So it's just being thoughtful and consistent, really.
Well, come back. I think you should post every single day. So think you need to post something of value every single day so that you're consistent and always in the feed. I don't think you should be an overshare. Okay. So there are some days I'm going to post something every single day. There are some days it might warrant 2 to 3 posts in that day. I would not say that every single day would warrant up to 3 posts, but there might be I might have gone to a meeting, city of Chicago, they dropped some new nuggets. Oh, I'm gonna share that. And then we went to this great evening networking event, and I might want to share a highlight from that. So I would say a minimum of 1 time per day, maybe up to 3 times per day, but don't just post to post. So I see a lot of people, they just post to post, and a lot of the content they share is them sharing someone else's content. They don't have an original thought in their mind. People want to do business with thought leaders. So a minimum of once per day, up to 3 times per day, because you've had an exciting day.
Yeah.
Not because you've seen 3 other pieces of somebody else's great content. Yeah. What you would then do is bookmark it for the day you don't see somebody else's great content and share it later. But don't become the person who all you do is share other people's content. It means you don't have an original thought. That is not a good look.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I think. NAR gives out so many good statistics. There's so many good articles. I travel a lot like you, where you're going to different conferences, and you're part of associations, you're doing something. Be involved in that. Women's Council, so your associations, your local associations, your state, national, then you get information from them, and then you relay that. You can just read somebody's article and then just interpret it for them. I think that's basing things on facts and figures that you can relay and share to your audience, to your consumers, right? You're sharing things to your potential buyers and sellers, so they know that you have your the pulse on the industry, and you understand what's happening in the market. I think that's really important for people to be reading a lot of the things that these great associations are already doing. They're already providing that. There's some associations out there that have economists there. Like I know Florida has it, California has a chief economist. Read what they write. Look at your state and see if they have an economist, and repurpose some of that content.
Read what they write, but then you could bring in Canva again, right, and go and create your own infographic about what that means in your local marketplace. I was on a call yesterday, and everybody has this, top 10 tips on, how to buy, sell your house. I don't have a top 10. Okay. What I have is how to create $190,000 in sweat equity in 12 months. And I tell the story, and it's generated a lot of leads. And every time I repost that video, guess what? This is what's funny. Not only every time I repost this video, there's a young lady in the Chicago market. She's a 203K specialist. I interviewed her about the 203K on how to create $190,000 sweat equity in 12 months, because that's what I did in my home through a purchase rehab transaction of an REO property. And guess what? I realized that probably every 3 months, the lender was resharing the video. The reason I knew she was resharing the video, because I was getting new notifications of new leads coming in. So about my son graduated from college in 1999. So she says, Marki, I want to, drop off a present for Skylar. Do I need a card for the money? I said, what 23-year-old you think needs a card for you to put the money in? Just give him the money. So she came through his graduation party because this is how many leads I've sent her, right? And she put $100 bill in his hand. So yesterday she had her Christmas party. And Skylar was like, I don't know if I should go. I said, your girl Stephanie be looking out. Next thing I see over on Instagram and Facebook, who at the party? Skylar in the background with Stephanie. Now, some people might not understand the relationship of the history, right? But me and Stephanie really go back 20 years. But Stephanie will reshare that video again and generate more leads. And we recorded that video 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the value.
That is the value. Yeah. Because you did some work you did 4 years ago is still paying off dividends today.
It's still valuable.
Yeah.
People still want to create. Look, first of all, they want to get a house. That'll be first.
Yeah.
And who don't want to create $190,000 sweat equity in 12 months?
Yeah. Yeah.
My house came to the market at $148,900. We bought it for $200,000. My last comp on my block is $685,000. I live on the greatest block, I think, on the south side of the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they everybody, $190,000 in sweat equity in 12 months is still relevant.
Yeah. And that's something that, I mean, when somebody is reading that as a buyer, somebody that's looking to buy a property, I mean, that's what people want. They want, this is going to be the largest investment that they're going to make. They want to make sure that they're going to make money off of this. I mean, it comes down to dollars every single, at the end of the day, is this going to make sense that I'm going to get some dollars out of this? Because I want to make sure that my money is safe and invested in something. So yeah, and that's what is going to grab people's attention is how do I make this? So
exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot of great information. I think, one of the things is I love talking to you about all this stuff because you not only are talking about it, but you're doing all of it. It's not like it's just, you're out there like, oh, okay, well, this is what you need to go home and do this, go do what I say. You're actually doing it all and have proven through yourself and now carrying it through to your son as well, which that's what I love is that it is proven tactics that are consistently proven through you, but now you're sending that down to your son, who's also following in your footsteps in that way. I love it that you're not only saying it, but doing it.
Well, thank you very much. And we have some other top producers in our office who have also taken heed, who I recruited, who are now being put in the national spotlight because they are killing it. And I just believe not only should you repurpose your content, I believe that every single realtor needs to have a business plan, a marketing plan, and their marketing plan needs to include their social media strategy. Yeah. And when people implement those three and they're strategic, I can start naming off some names of people who have gotten to 6 figures in 12 months in their first full-time year selling real estate. And it's not going to be easy. We cannot be easily distracted, and we have to be consistent.
Yeah. Consistency and focus. I mean, it really does. It does come down to those few things. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information. And I really appreciate your time today. I know everybody that's watching here appreciates you as well. You're so fantastic. You're fabulous. I can't wait to see you again in the coming year around the circuit and maybe back in Chicago when I come out and visit too. So I'm excited to continue our conversations because you're always fun to talk to. That's why we were like a minute or two late today. We were chit-chatting.
Yeah, we were chit-chatting. Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday season. And I want to see what those solid business plans and content repurposing look like come 2022. It will change your digital footprint and change your earning capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week, next week is Christmas. I'm taking the week off not the whole week off the office. I'll be in the office, but I'm not doing a webinar next week, but then the following week on the 29th at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard, time. Brandon Wise, our CEO, and I are going to be on the webinar. We're going to be talking about recapping 2021, what we've done with Wise Agent this last year, and then looking forward into 2022 and a few things that you all can be expecting from us at Wise Agent. And then January 6th, I have my good friend, and I think a friend of yours, Marki Lemons-Ryhal out of Virginia. She's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about goals. I love Tamara. She's awesome.
She is.
She is.
And she got some promotions, and she's very active. So she's dynamic, most definitely.
She is. She's great. So she's coming back. I've already done a webinar with her. So she's coming back on the webinar to share some more tips on goal setting. So it'll be January. I think we're doing that January 5th. January 5th, we're going to be doing that on the webinar. So I'm excited for all these things to come. So I wish you all happy holidays. And again, Marki, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.